Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the Marvel Select Crimson Dynamo. This is another review sample. All the Marvel Selects I'm reviewing in the next, few weeks are going to be review samples. They have sent me a bunch of different things and said if I want to review them. If not, that's okay. So I'm under no obligation to say anything nice about these at all. You guys know I wouldn't do that anyway, but I want to get that out there. Just to be clear, these are review samples. I buy very few Marvel Selects for my personal collection just because I only buy like Hulk and things like that where I can fudge the scales. I don't really collect this scale too much. Just getting that out of the way. That said, this line is definitely picking up some steam, both in the variety of characters released and the quality and just the general, I'd say customer satisfaction seems to be going up and up and up with this line, so I'm happy to be reviewing it for you guys. So here's Crimson Dynamo. He might not be as impressive as Captain America, but it's a pretty solid figure with a few issues, so let's go ahead and get him off the stand and take a closer look. Now before we look at the figure, I will show you my package. It is very big. Some might say too big. I've heard some people say that, but it is a nice traditional package. If you like this sort of thing, if you grew up collecting 20-30 years ago, you might like this. It's a really big blister card, and it's nice. It's pretty good. We don't see too much of this these days. I have to say, after that Captain America review, everybody was talking about how bad their promo shots are. They're not great. It's not the best thing I've ever seen. Like, these images are okay, but like, look at this one. His head's not even pointed in the right direction. It's like the worst posing ever, so I don't know what's going on over at Diamond Select as far as their promo shots, but at least in this case, the figures are better than the promo images, so I guess that's a good thing, but it can't be helping their business, so that's kind of strange. But yeah, Cap was way better. I think this guy looks pretty good too. Alright, so this guy stands roughly, and we'll call it, just 20.5 centimeters, and that's going to be about almost exactly 8 inches. Here he is up against Cap, so a little bit taller. I think that's reasonable, though I do think his head is too big. It looks too big even right there, but then especially when you consider his helmets, definitely too big of a melon. Alright, let's do a quick question of the day. Are you guys being persuaded by the quality that Diamond Select is putting out with this line? I know they have somewhat more limited articulation, but they do have mostly unique sculpts and loads of accessories. So are you being converted into collecting things other than Marvel Legends if you are a Marvel Legends collector? These figures are a good example of how much better you can do than Hasbro. Alright, so let's take a quick look at the aesthetic. There's not a whole lot going on here. He's mostly just this not quite red color. So I do think he maybe could use to be a little bit red. I didn't even think to check that. He's a bit coppery, just a touch. He's still more red than copper, but shouldn't he be a little more red? I'm not sure about that. But there's no paint on him anywhere other than the red, and then just a little bit of shading. If you look at his gauntlet area, if you want to call it that, there's a little bit of black shading down here at the top. You'll see some more on the elbows, on the shoulder pads. There's just a touch on the edges. So little spots like that throughout. I think it's down there on the shins too. It's very subtle, and there's definitely not a lot of it. His face, though, is painted pretty nicely. I like that. I think that's a good look comic-wise. It's not hyper-realistic, but it does have some nice sculpt work and paint work in there. Love the little gray bits in the beard. Eyes look good. Flesh tones have what appears to just be a wash going on, and I'm fine with that. The eyebrows look nice. I think it looks pretty darn good. I have 2 gripes with this guy from the aesthetic. Well, kind of 3, and one of them might be wrong, so we'll get to that. But the first one is, I think he could be a little bit more heroic looking. It's not bad, and I know he's wearing a suit of armor, but it does kind of have like a boxy look to it. I think it might be the combination of the really big diaper with a relatively narrow chest to accommodate these. So there's not much they could do about that, and it's not a real big deal, but it is something worth noting. I already mentioned the size of the noggin is definitely up for debate, especially when you consider this head. The noggin's too big. The unhelmeted noggin is too big. And then the last thing, and I could be wrong about this, but his belly button's in there. Do we need a belly button? Maybe that's a thing. Maybe that's canon for Crimson Dynamo. He's not number 1 on my list of things I know about, but he has a little bit of a navel going on, and I've always found that weird when armored guys have their navels showing. But otherwise, it's solid, pretty basic, but I'll give it a 7. I can't go too high. I mean, there's just not a whole lot here to talk about in terms of the aesthetic. I do really like the head, though. All right, now for accessories, prepare to be happy if you're going to buy this figure. He has the unhelmeted head. You already saw that. Then we do have the helmeted head, which is very nicely done and has interchangeable face plates. So you get the one with the black eyes, one with the orange visor, and then one where he's shooting a blast out of his face. And those are all awesome, and the blast effect is really nice. And that's the kind of attention to detail I like to see. Good accessories. Makes the figure way more valuable, if you ask me. Now for hands, you get the 2 fist hands that come out in the package, a variety of other style pose hands, and then some effect part hands, which are nicely done, just like the visor. The effect pieces are separate pieces from the hands, so the hands look like they're supposed to, and then the effects look like they're supposed to. It's not like Storm from Marvel Legends, where her fingers look like lightning bolts, and vice versa. Very good spread of accessories. Quite pleased with that. I don't know that we needed too much else for this guy, so I'm going to go for the price point for accessories, 10 out of 10. They are nailing the accessory game at this point for domestic companies. Well, I guess NECA's up there too, so they're probably tied with NECA. I don't know. These guys might be winning on price point. So yeah, I think these guys might even be ahead of NECA for useful accessories. Okay, let's get into the articulation. I really like the neck. Now granted, the head is too big and the beard gets in the way, but you have a double ball peg for the head that lets him move around just so easily in any way you might want to do that. So I like that. I like what they did with these guys rather than letting them hinder the articulation completely. They just rotate around. It's so easy to solve these problems for most of these figures that can't pose properly. They did a good job. I don't love the way they cut this out. I think they could have made that a smoother transition a little bit. I don't think it's canon accurate to the source material to have it cut out there, but I could be wrong. But either way, you get that full rotation so you can bring his arms up without any real problem. Then going out to the side, it's up to just about horizontal, and you do have your full ball hinge in there, so that's good. Bicep swivel is fine. Single jointed elbow, definitely a lot more limited there. That kind of sucks. So there's that. And then you get your wrists swivel and hinge. All the wrists have standard hinges. None of them are vertical, but he doesn't have anything to hold. So that's okay. For the torso, he does lean back pretty nicely. That's really good. Can he lean forward? A little, not very much, just a little bit. Then leaning side to side works pretty well. He is bumping into this giant diaper belt, but it's not terrible. You get your full rotation there. And I'm guessing this is supposed to rotate. I haven't been able to free it up. It just doesn't seem to want to go. Oh, haha. Just in the nick of time. So yeah, you do get the waist twist there. So that's a little extra posability. For the hips, you can see we don't have huge gapping. So let's see if they were able to get the articulation to function properly. Going out to the side, basically the splits. Like almost full on splits. I told you it's possible, guys. Everybody was like, oh, you can't do it without big gaps. You can't keep yelling at Hasbro. I mean, look, big chunky dude, no huge gaps, perfect splits. Can he bring his legs forward? Not as far. Big chunky thighs are getting in the way. They could have done a little bit better with that, but it's not bad, so that's okay. Thigh swivel is just a cut, obviously, so that's going to swivel. And then you get a single jointed knee, just like the elbows, very limited range. Don't like they used it the way they did because it gives them really short thighs. That's actually one of the other things I wanted to mention earlier. It's not terribly obvious when he's in a standing pose, but if you bend that knee, it looks pretty weird, I think. Well, I guess it's not the worst thing ever for a single jointed knee. I prefer to not have the swivel joint like this. I prefer to do it the way the old DCUC figures used to do it. But this isn't the worst thing in the world. And then for the ankles, surprisingly, despite having lack of articulation in the knees, you get a full-on ball hinge. So you're going to get a proper ankle rocker, no problem there at all. And then the range is pretty limited. They go back okay, but not too far forward because of this. So yeah, he's definitely more along the lines of a standard Diamond Select, Marvel Select figure in terms of articulation, but it's not the worst ever, so I'll give him, for this line, I'll give him a 7. It's fine. There's nothing like egregiously bad, and you can work around the limitations of the elbows and knees, I'm sure, because he's not Spider-Man. So it's definitely not the worst thing in the world. So now it's time for the final verdict. I think it's another welcomed addition to the collection, especially if you're going to collect this scale. It's great. Is he fudgeable to a Marvel Legends scale? He's fully armored, so kind of, I guess. I mean, he's probably supposed to be a big dude anyway. He is bigger than Cap here, so you could probably fudge it. But it definitely looks nice on the shelf. The unique sculpting, the metallic paintwork, and then a little bit of shading here and there goes a long way. But really, it's the accessories that bring this guy to the forefront, potentially, in your collection. I'm going to give this guy an overall rating of 8 out of 10. The accessories are awesome, but he is limited in posability and he doesn't have as much shading as I think he could. I think some panel lighting would have gone a long way, or even just more of the shading, because he is fairly bland. So, still really good if you ask me, and I definitely recommend him. 8 out of 10 is a good rating, but, I mean, we're coming off the heels of this guy, who was a really, really good release. So, man, these figures just look so much better than other Marvel licenses. Alright, so there it is. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, but that's it from me for today. So thanks for watching. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, you probably should. I have new videos every day but Wednesday, or at least I will once I get back to my normal scheduling. We're getting very close, guys. It's a few more weeks for the renovation, and then I should be moving, and that'll be that. The final move until the next one, but it should be a while. So anyway, new videos every day but Wednesday. Normally, right now, it's not anywhere close to that, but I do have thousands and thousands of videos already on the channel, so you can check those out in the meantime. So make sure you come back for all of that. And in the other meantime, keep collecting.